Today we're going to look at the second law of thermodynamics. This is a law that was given to us by Albert Einstein. And the second law of thermodynamics, even though it sounds fairly complicated, is actually fairly simple. It is a law of physics. And it basically just states that things have a tendency to get worse by themselves. They decay, break down, or have what we call entropy. Now the thing is with this is there are no exceptions in the physical world. Now, does this have anything to do with biology? Well, not directly, because it is not a law of biology. But we will look at why this is important for life later on. Now, if we take an automobile, for instance, and just let it set out in the woods for a while, what's going to happen? It's going to rust, it's going to decay, the seals on it are going to start decaying as well. Everything is going to get worse and worse and worse. This is kind of a summary of what happens to all things and what the second law of thermodynamics is all about. Now, even as in the case of the automobile or the building we saw earlier, an outside force can help repair and keep things good or in good order. So a lot of people will say, well, that doesn't really apply to things like life. Okay, we're going to see actually that it does in an indirect way. So evolutionists especially will say, well, if there's an outside energy force, then that's all that there is. That's all that there is that's needed. But the key here is there has to be a energy conversion device. So, for instance, let's take a lawnmower. If you take just energy, let's say you take gasoline and you pour it on the lawnmower and you light it, okay, that energy by itself, even though you have plenty of energy, is not going to do it any good. In fact, it's going to help destroy it. And that's actually what the energy from the sun will do as well. Energy by itself does not help it. It actually helps destroy it. Now, with a lawnmower, on the other hand, if you have put in it an engine and a carburetor, those are energy conversion devices that actually make the energy from the gasoline usable and helpful. Okay, with plants, for instance, plants are the only thing that can take the sun's energy and actually convert it into usable energy for the plants, and then everything else gets its energy from plants either directly or indirectly by eating the plants or eating let's say, an animal that eats the plants. Now, I mentioned earlier that this second law of thermodynamics does not really affect biology in and of itself, but it would have affected before biology, and in other words, before life ever began, because everything would have had to do with physics before, let's say, any evolution could have started. So let's say you have a situation where you've got, let's say, like evolutionists might proclaim that the chemicals just came together in the right order to form life. Well, as we've mentioned, that doesn't form life by itself just because you have the right chemicals together. The actual possibility of this is nil. In other words, it could never happen according to probability. But let's just say, for argument's sake here, that it actually did occur. Okay, well, what's going to happen immediately? According to the second law of thermodynamics, everything is going to start breaking down. It's going to start getting worse and worse and worse. So it doesn't matter how close you are to having some kind of life, it's going to break down immediately. So the second law of thermodynamics, although not directly affecting biology itself, it would have affected everything before life could have begun. So basically speaking, the second law of thermodynamics is actually a law that states that evolution could have never occurred. Thank you for watching this video, and thank you for watching evosecrets.com.